Cool. All right, Beats. So thanks for your time today. I've got some really
No.
interesting. Cheers. I've got some really interesting questions for you. So to start off with, I'm not really too sure. What is the sort of intention you've got for your YouTube channel? Obviously, you've been going a long time. You know, you've done a great job. A lot of hardcore fans know who you are. But is there any particular goal in mind, or are you just having fun?
What long-term goals? Not really much because I don't just do videos. You know, I'm a studio engineer as well. So you know, I ain't really I'm not forward thinking of nothing. Just doing that, looking after my mum, peace, love, health, wealth, and all that good stuff, man. Just taking it easy. You know what I mean? Like just at that age where I'm just taking it easy, man. Just enjoying life, trying to reflect back, be a bit more mellow. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sounds good. It's great to hear. Obviously, yeah, I've known you a long time. I didn't know you were a engineer. Um, did you see my recent Tommy Fury interview?
Oh, when he ran away?
That's the one.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Well, there's a reason I'm asking. With you, you've never really wanted to interview people. You know, you've had that sort. From what you said, obviously, you can tell me now. You've got the mindset you don't really want to chase people, and as was the case with me. So, what did you think of that interview? I mean, how do you think you would have handled it?
All right, well, all right, let's go through my philosophy now. When it comes to interviews, I will interview people who I want to interview. So I would probably go for boxers who boxed maybe a decade and longer back, probably more retirees than current boxers. As for Tommy, Tommy's a hothead. He's young. You know, he's a little insecure. His brother is like a mile ahead of him in terms of ability and accomplishment. So he's a little fragile, and that's what I would expect from him. I wouldn't expect nothing more from him. You know, maybe he'll mature a little and be able to handle it like constructive criticism. Because what was the main question you asked him?
That's what I'll remind you. All I've said to him, hey Tommy, I've said certain things about you online, so I want to repeat it now face to face. I don't want to be two-faced. Basically, I said things online. I said if it was me, for all that money, I would have got in the ring with Jake Paul, even with those injuries. And yeah, that's all I
Okay.
said. He
Yeah.
just he took over. He was like, yeah,
Oh
well,
yeah, he took off, right? He took off.
yeah.
He took off. Well, I guess if I'm looking at it from his standpoint, he's saying that you're questioning his integrity, his manhood, and his balls and stuff like that. So from your integrity, you just want it to be a straight shooter, and that's always going to come with its complications. You know, like if you want to succeed in this game here, when I say no, that's the wrong word. Succeed is the wrong word. If you want to get along with people in boxing, where the egos are very fragile, you have to basically, accommodate the fragile egos and massage them fragile egos, or out you go. You know, they won't want you around. They want yes men. You know, they want people to back up any rubbish they say. You know, like they say they had a controversial fight, which like 95% of the public and media thought they lost, and you're interviewing them. If you don't say they won, then you're probably going to be out of sorts with them, and like, but why do you get off and all that? Like that's what you're dealing with, isn't it? Really? It's a very sensitive genre. Let's just say that the people in it very sensitive. So if you're gonna ask guys like Tommy that, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that reaction. That's the reaction you're gonna get.
Well, before I sort of give my response on this, I've actually got another incident that happened, similar situation. I was at the British Boxing Border Control dinner last week. Um, I knew what hotel it was, so I just passed by. I ran into Kell Brook. Kell Brook was there. So all I've said to him, I've gone up to him, hey Kel, I'm not gonna interview you today. You're probably busy. I said, I've known you a long time, about 2010. So congratulations on the win. And then all I've said is, I didn't know who was gonna win, you or Khan. That's all I said. Him and his dad both started getting awkward about. Oh, and obviously I said to him, "Thanks very much for sparring me. You didn't need to. Everyone's seen it." And then I said to him, "I didn't know who was going to win, you or Khan. So congratulations." Oh, him and his dad, they both started getting awkward, and I told him, I said, "What do you want? What do you want?" I'm just, I'm being honest. I didn't know who was going to win the fight. Judging by your Crawford fight, I mean, it was hard to say for sure. Oh, well, yeah, they both got very awkward.
Well,
You know,
I guess should have gave an explanation. Like if I, because I didn't know who was going to win, but I would have said, well, the reason I couldn't commit to a pick is because you've both been very inactive, and you're at a stage where it's hard to predict what you're going to do when you go in the ring. You might perform brilliantly, and you might just fall apart, because that's what happens to aging fighters. So that's why I would have said. And if that wasn't good enough, I said, okay, cool, man, congratulations. I mean, that's what I would have said.
all I'll say briefly on this subject. Well, actually, I'm going to bring up an interesting point a lot of people don't realize. So, look, I'm 31 now. The person I was in the past, it doesn't matter. You change as a person, you have different goals. But these days, and I'm not going to say anything bad about anyone. Look, I wish Tommy Fury well. He's a human. I wish Kel well. But there's billions of people on planet Earth. Just because you box, the best way I can articulate it, Tommy Fury's been boxing for however long. If you're going to practice boxing, you're going to become a lot better than most people. So you're better at boxing, but it doesn't mean you're better than the man on the street. It doesn't mean you're better than a tramp or a beggar. Anyone can end up in that position. So what a lot of people don't realize about me these days, if a boxer doesn't want to talk to me, then no, that's all well and good. It's billions of people on planet Earth. If you don't want to talk to me, it's okay. I'll go talk to a beggar on the street. I mean, we're all just people. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to make it too much about myself, but even people like you and Hatman, I don't even care anymore. If they don't want to talk to me, that's up to them. But I think this is similar to you. Is this sort of what's put you off from trying to interview these younger generations?
Um, I guess it hasn't put me off, but it's just my character type, really. Like, I'd rather just create the content rather than have to worry about them having to fill the narratives with stuff that I might not necessarily agree with, or I've been offered financial incentives to say certain things for certain people, and I haven't did it. I wanted to ask you though, like, all right, you was asking what my goals were. What are your goals? Are your goals to, I'm just going to be honest, do you want to antagonize people, or do you want to get like real questions out there so the public can hear some real shit? Or because some people do want to antagonize, do you at times try, like, all right, so when you went up to Tommy, did you think to yourself, well, it could, I'm not saying you shouldn't have did it, but did you know that could antagonize him by saying what you said there?
I appreciate the question, and I'll 100% answer you honestly. No, it wasn't my intention to antagonize him. In my opinion, it might sound naive to people online, but yeah, I wasn't expecting that reaction. The whole thing about saying it online, I actually thought he'd appreciate it. I thought I'm just being honest with him, and I thought we would try and engage. I first interviewed boxers over 10 years ago. I'm not trying to show off. Obviously, I have. No boxers ever walked off like that. sometimes they might have declined interviews. I'll do it another time, but no boxers ever, the David Hayes, the Joe Frazers, the Tyson, like no one's just ever walked off like that, which is okay. But no, I promise that wasn't my intention. Because if it was, I would have done something by now.
All right. So say if like one of the main boxing media like outlets said, okay, Apollo, we're gonna give you a shot, but you can't say certain things to certain promoters or certain boxers because you're going to affect our sponsorship. They're not going to give us interviews, and the numbers are going to go down. Would you play the game? Would you just placate to them? Would you just like, oh, how are you doing, man? And yo, you was really good, and this that. Would you do that, like just to get along or get in the infrastructure a little more? Would you do that? Would that go against your principles?
That's a great question. I'll give a very short answer. I'm a very honest man, and look, people say a lot of things about you online that don't know you. They do it to me, they do it to you, they do it to loads of people. If I'm sitting down with someone, if someone's basically, it's a job, isn't it? So if you're asking me to go by certain criteria, I'll give you the answer. So I'd prefer not to. Like if I don't want it, I'll just decline the job. But if I do take the job for money, I might take it just for the time being. But if I know that's the requirements of the job, and especially if I know it's going to mess someone else up, I wouldn't do it. But I'll keep it short. But someone like Michelle Joy Phelps, I met her yesterday. We go on quite well. If she offered me a job now, I take it. But yeah, I'll tell her the truth. I'll just say, look, I'll do it for 2 months, 4 months. But the minute I don't need it anymore, I'm gonna go do my own thing. So yeah, if it's like any job, laboring or whatever. While I'm basically working for you, if you say these are the rules, I'll follow them.
Okay, I hear that.
But that's more for the person's sake. For me, on a personal sake, well, I've actually now been banned from interviewing Tyson Fury or his entire family, and I'm banned from their gym. On a personal sake, I don't really care. But if someone's given me the authority, then I don't know. It's like if you said, yeah, watch my bike for 2 minutes. I've just got to pop to the shop. Well, obviously, it's your bike. You've given me the authority. I'll make sure I look after it.
Yeah. So yeah, well, you saw how John Fury reacted to Carl Frampton. Did you see when Carl Frampton said that Jake Paul would beat Tommy to Big John? He went crazy, didn't he?
I'll keep it. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not. When I was younger, I'd allow people to. Yeah, sometimes I might let you. Yeah, get away with things like that. But if it was now, yeah, if John Fury tried that on me, like, I would have stood up for myself. Because yeah, but, look, I'm not being disrespectful to anyone, but we're all just people. We're all entitled to our opinion, and I've never liked that. I'm just giving you my opinion. You know what I mean? John Fury and me, we dress differently. We've got different hairstyles. Would you attack me for that? So I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not criticizing Tommy, but I mean, look, he's been around boxing how long? Has he been in the ABAs? Has he beaten anyone as a pro? So he's ultimately a novice. So I'm not being disrespectful, but just because you've been boxing a long time, it doesn't mean you're going to be the best. I've seen it. I've seen guys in the gym been doing it for years. I'm one of those guys. I had 4 white collar fights last year, but I'm not really a white collar fighter, am I? I mean, the background I've had, where I've sparred and trained with people like O'Hara Davies, but they took it seriously. I didn't take it seriously, so now I'm having to play catch up. So
Yeah.
that's all it is with Tommy. We're not being disrespectful. We're just giving our opinion. I mean, like Katie Taylor. I mean, she's a great fighter, but she's a terrible public speaker. If you put Katie Taylor on a top table with Clarissa Shields, I'm giving my opinion. I think Clarissa Shields is going to talk a lot more. It's not being disrespectful. So I don't like that thing about boxing. If you don't like my opinion, you don't have to talk to me, do you? So I don't. The way he spoke to Carl was disgusting.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's the egos, man. It's just the egos. Just the egos. So, what fights you looking forward to? You looking forward to Colin and Wood, Lee Wood?
So I hope you don't mind. Before I answer that, I mean, how would you react if John Fury spoke to you like that?
I'd back away because like he's been to jail for assault and stuff. I'll probably just back away now.
Oh, okay. I appreciate the honesty. Look, I'll say brief. Look, I'm not. I definitely I can't beat him in a fight right now. No chance. But yeah, like,
I
I'd
wouldn't
be.
run for it. I wouldn't run, but I'd say I'd like to keep a good distance. I wouldn't run from him or anything. But but like obviously the man gouged out a man's eye, so
Yeah.
and went to jail for it. So it's
No,
not something like I don't know. Maybe the guy, maybe the other guy started the beef between them. I don't know the story, but when you see something like that, you think you have to be a little cautious. Maybe if I was younger, a different answer. But at this age I am now, I'm a little more thoughtful on stuff. You know what I mean? On the consequences. Yeah.
yeah, look, I appreciate the honesty. Not everyone would say that, and all I'll say briefly, look, I definitely can't beat him in a fight right now. No chance. And I'm actually a very chill guy. I wouldn't, if someone came up to me like that, even if I know I could knock you out, look, it's hard to get an emotional reaction out of me. So I'm not gonna want to fight you, but I'll stand my ground. So I'll you know. But the thing is, I don't like raising my voice. So I don't see him and me shouting back and forth. But yeah, I'd look him in the eye, or I'd look up at him in the eye, and I just say, John, that's my opinion. I stand by it. I think Jake Paul beats him. And last thing I say, when you mention consequences, well, whatever happens, happens. I don't think I'm crossing any line. I'm just, it's people in boxing, say fans. This is what boxing's like. It's a nightmare behind the scenes. Anyway, sorry if you wanted to move on. Yeah, I think it's a good fight. Yeah, Colin Woods. Yeah, I think that's a great fight. I think it's a really exciting matchup. Either man can win. I think Conlan's more likely to win. I think Adam Booth's always been a great strategist. Obviously, he makes mistakes, but I think with Ben Davidson, it just in my opinion, he seems to overcomplicate boxing, tries to use too many words and tries to what's the word? He tries to make it perfect when sometimes you just need to stand and fight. I think Josh Taylor was better. He was better under Shane McGuigan. So I could be wrong, but I think Conlan
Okay.
is likelier to win.
Yeah, I think Conlan should be the more fluid mover, and he like better amateur accomplishments and everything. So like the pedigree should be in Colin's favor. I feel. I like the fight though. I do like the fight. Do you think that like the reaction to the Josh Taylor thing's been a bit over the top? Because lots of people get bad decisions done against them, but they're talking about getting the police involved, the House of Commons. I think they downgraded Ian John Lewis. I ain't got no problem with that, but going to the police and House of Commons, what do you reckon? Is that going a little too far?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good question. I just think people are getting bored of it now. I am. I'll answer it. The whole thing about downgrading Ian John Lewis. Well, that's point. That's just words. It doesn't mean anything. I used to work in construction. I've seen people. If you turn up to work late, say you turn up 10 minutes late, you miss the induction. Obviously, some sites will be okay with it. I've seen other sites turn people away. So that's it. You're down £80 basically. You're not working that day. So what I say about the judges, I'm not gonna make it personal, but when you keep performing badly at a job, it's the same with politicians. They keep performing badly, whereas in most jobs you get fired. I mean, some of the jobs I've done, try coming to work 10 minutes late. Yeah, keep doing it. See how long you last. So that's what I'd say about the judges. All this online threats, I wish them and their families well, but honestly, like, just you're performing badly at the job, and then to make it much worse, but then you've messed up Jack Cattle's life. I mean, he won that fight, and so now you've taken away the opportunity. How much money is it costing? So
Do
in
you
terms of
think
the
that's
other,
going over the top a bit? Like
sorry,
messed up his life. It's going over the because Tyson Fury said that. Don't you think that's going over the top a bit? Messed up his life. Like,
no, I believe it's not, because I'll keep it brief, and I think you're asking some good questions. So challenge me as much as you like. So the guy's been doing his whole life for however long to become world champion. In my belief, he won that fight, and just because of some judges, you're saying no, you haven't won the fight. So he's got no belts. Even for me, I've been getting white collar fights. They said to me, if you win this belt, you get paid more money for the rematch. So I'd be set on at least, you'd be getting at least, I don't know, a few £100 cash in hand for some of the fights
yeah,
I've been having. And that's just that, and at the pro level, at the pro level, so you've taken that away from him. So how much money has he lost? And not just the money, it's the belts, that being like, even with you, but it's the same with you. But you've built your brand. Boxing beats him. I'm not just saying this. I don't lie to people, as you saw with
yeah,
Tommy. You're very well respected in boxing. A lot of people, including me, your knowledge is something else. Like it's old school, like it's phenomenal knowledge. So if someone took that away from you, you've been working for however long. And so, yeah, I would say they have messed up his life.
yeah. But look, but he's still going to be mandated, I think, to fight for a title in his next fight, and he's got some very good fights out there. You know, if when I see Glenn Johnson come over here into where was it? Where was Clinton Woods in Sheffield? And he clearly beat the guy, but no one, there was no outcry for Glenn Johnson, and he got robbed in Germany against Sven Otka, and he just had to keep going and had to keep going. Eventually, I think the second fight he got the verdict over Clinton Woods, and the third fight was controversial as well, but. Setbacks are all a part of boxing. Saying like losing a decision that could have went the other way. I had Jack winning, but setbacks are all a part of boxing. Saying it's ruining his life, it's a learning experience, isn't it? Or that's all it is. Like next time he might, when he goes training now, he might have to develop more killer instincts. That's what that's about. Because it wasn't a perfect performance. I think he won the fight. It wasn't a perfect performance. Like I was talking about, who was it? Like Wilfredo Gomez. He was admitted into a psychiatric unit in Puerto Rico. Great fighter, freeweight champion, and he fought this guy named Rocky Lockridge. And I said, "Yo, if you want to talk about robbery, you want to see this fight here. Rocky beat him from ring post to ring post. The only thing he didn't do was floor him. He ruptured Gomez's throat. He could never talk again after that. He really put a beating on him, and he didn't get the decision. But he came back and he won belts. Lockridge. That's a part of boxing. It's always been a part of boxing. Okay. Oh, we think he won. Like Jersey Joe Walcott, he floored Joe Louis twice, and he totally outclassed him. He didn't get the decision, but he hung on there. He kept going. And he became the oldest world champion at the time. What was it, 37 years of age? He became the oldest when he knocked out Ezra Charles. So you don't always get it your way in boxing. It's like when people, I'm not saying you, but
I'm listening. Yeah.
when people saying he's ruined his life, it's jumping the gun a bit, I believe. I think it's jumping the gun a bit. Like there's been some horrible decisions out here from as long as I've been watching boxing. Like when Henry Wharton fought that the Winkerbank guy, what's his name? Fidel Castro. Slugger O'Toole.
Yeah.
Brendan Ingle. Horrible decision. Totally outclassed him. Horrible decision. Horrible. It's a part of boxing. There's nothing like I don't see why Jack Catterall is getting more like sympathy and like more like they're trying to do more for him than any other boxers have got decisions went against them. That's just my thoughts. Bit over the top.
No, it's very interesting. I appreciate you giving your thoughts on it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
But as I said, just because you box, even say I box, everyone's opinion is just as relevant as mine. Your knowledge of boxing history, I think most people, even the Eddie Hearns and Adam Smith, will struggle to match your knowledge. So you're entitled to your opinion. But how close do you think the fight was? For me, I'm thinking 8 rounds to 4 for Carroll. Or how
Yeah,
close do you think?
probably about 8-4. Yeah, look, it was probably like, because even when they kept saying Josh was winning rounds, he wasn't landing any punches. He was just coming forward. He wasn't landing any punches. Like in the late rounds, they were saying Josh was, he's bridging the gap. He's not landing any punches. So he got beaten. Don't get me wrong, he got beaten. But places like Scotland are very hostile, right? Let me tell you this now. If they gave Jack Carroll that decision, it could have been a riot in there. If not in the arena, outside the arena, it could have been a riot, because they would have went haywire. They would have went, hey, they wouldn't be saying, oh no, they wouldn't just accept like Carroll taking the belts out of there. You go over Scotland, you've got to, you've got to really pull them belts away from the champion. You know what I mean? He could come again. He can come again. Josh definitely didn't deserve to keep the belts. But then again, Danny Jacobs didn't deserve to lose that decision against John Ryder a few weeks before. He clearly outboxed him.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question though. What you just said, why is boxing the only sport, as far as I know? I've never liked that when they say you got to rip the belts from the champion. In other sports, all you need to do is win. If you've won, you've won. You don't, I don't know, if you're doing 100 meters, you just need to beat the champion by 0.05. You don't need to beat them by 2 seconds. But in box, I've never understood this. It's become traditional. I know what you're talking about. But why does the challenger? It's unrealistic. If we're both men, I can only do my best. Why does the challenger have to do even more than like? If you've won, you've won. I've never understood that.
Well, the issues that boxing has in concerns with that is once it goes to the scorecards, unless it's a total rout, and even sometimes some fights are total routs, it's down to interpretation. Once you leave it in the judge's hands, anything can happen. Corruption, favoritism. Maybe one of the judges didn't have a good angle to see the fight where he was positioned. Anything can happen. Once it goes to the judge, it's out of your hands. That's why when Marvin Hagler, he fought Vitor Antuofermo for the middleweight championship, and he was given a draw, and he clearly won the fight, in my opinion. I could be biased because it's my favorite fighter, though. But I thought he won. And after that, Hagler said, my fists are going to be my judges from now. And he didn't let fights go the distance. That was his thing. People rarely went the distance with Hagler. Rarely.
I'd say, I think that's a great example. I know about that fight. But I'd say, obviously, not everyone's a Marvin Hagler. And I'll give you a quick example. I'm sure you know I wouldn't lie. I used to spar Hara Davies about 2008.
Right.
Now, I'm almost 2 years older than him. Physically, I had pretty much every advantage on him at that time. Literally everything in the box, I'm not lying, everything apart from power. So we'd spar, and obviously sparring's different from a fight. Yeah, we'd spar, I had quicker hands, I had much quicker feet. I'm calm, I think. But I'm not going to lie. So here's the part where hopefully people know I'm not lying. So I'd come out and I'd always be first to land. So I'd outscore him. I'd keep moving around. O'Hara Davies, though, even as a kid, that guy could always flip and hit. He could always.
Yeah, very heavy hands.
So the point I'm not going to lie about, and hope people are going to believe me now. Yeah, I might be able to just sort of dominate for maybe 30 seconds or whatever. But once he would corner me somewhere and unload, he was hard, man. Oh, flipping hell. Sometimes I'd try and hold on to him, or I'd wait for the clock to end. So I'm not saying I would have ever. I would have lost the fight if we had boxed it, and then I just wish I was serious enough. But what I'm saying, I think, is a good point. But when you're asking someone, when you're holding the challenger to a higher standard, it's very unfair. I think, you know, this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to make this video about me, but you're asking someone, so whether it's Catterall, you're asking them to go above and beyond, whereas the champion just has to do and it's not you, but it's that thing in they need to change that. I interviewed Lou DeBella today. I've uploaded it, and yeah, he spoke about a lot of the stuff in boxing. So the quickest example, I mean, it's like, you know, I met Terence Crawford about a month ago, and you know, Crawford Spence, that fight's not happening, but you don't see that in any other sport. You know, I mean, you're getting these guys. I mean, imagine what Jersey Joe Walcott and these guys would say when these guys don't want to fight each other. I think Canelo's the only one. So a lot of these old traditions need to change. So this whole thing about rip it from the champion, but it's difficult. Because if me and O'Hara Davies had boxed in 2008, 2009, I've seen videos of him sparking people out as amateurs, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm being arrogant or delusional. I know what I'm talking about. I'm the only person that can make these comments. I don't know if he still remembers. If me and him had boxed in 2008, in my opinion, there's no way he would have knocked me out, but he would have won, no question. He would have rocked me. He would have chased me around, no question. He would have beaten me. I admit that. But so this is what I'm saying. It's unfair to ask. You're asking too much. To ask me to, if I was going to take him on as champion, to ask me to go above and beyond, well, it's not, it's an unrealistic.
Well, that's the whole point of being a challenger. It's not supposed to be easy, is it? Like winning that world championship is supposed to be a great accomplishment. What you have to remember, like when, because remember, it's not a rule in boxing that you have to take from the challenger. It's a mantra that's always been there, you know? And, you know, like boxing is different to other sports. It has mantras like, yeah, you've got to take it from the challenger. It also has championship rounds. They call the 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th, before it would have obviously been 12, 13, 14, 15. These are the championship rounds. Like if you're playing football and you get to the last 10, they don't say, oh, well, these are the championship rounds. It's just 90 minutes and that's that. So boxing, the whole, the whole thing about it, like it's like if okay, let me give you an example.
Go on,
right?
Yeah.
So you're the challenger, right?
Yeah.
And you win the first 10 rounds at a canter, right? Like you're just outboxing this guy easily. And then in the last 5, let's say it's a 15 rounder, right? The last 5, you take your foot off the gas, kind of like what Oscar did against Felix Trinidad. You take your foot off the gas for the last 5. Right? I'm not saying you should lose that fight, but the crowd going to be like, boo, why are you moving the thing? They're going to go against you. The judge is going to think, well, why is he switched off? And you know, it's like with football, if you're winning 5-0 and then you decide to play really defensive in the last 40 minutes, you still win 5-0. But boxing is very emotive. Whereas other sports, like you say, okay, you run 9.50 and I run 11.2. You win, and that's that. But boxing is very emotive. People catch feelings and emote, like, so it's a little different from other sports. Like if you're a challenger, you're away from home, right? You really want to be looking at knocking your guy out. Look, and here's the thing, right? Jack had Josh on the floor. And Josh was hurt. I've heard people say he wasn't hurt that bad. No, he was hurt. Josh Taylor was hurt. You have to go in and finish. You got to go in, and you need that killer instinct. You need to go in there and finish it off. You need to finish it off. You can't let your opponent off the hook. You've got to take them out, especially if you're away from home. You've got to be like a savage. You've got to take them out. You've got to take them out. That was his opportunity. If Mike Tyson had Josh Taylor on the floor like that, Josh would have either had to knock him out or get stretched out the ring. Because that's what Mike is going to give you 2 options. You either fight me back or knock me out, or I'm going to stretch you out on a gurney. It's one of the 2. But that's the see, and Hagler had that mentality. Sugar Ray Leonard had it. Like people think, oh, he's just a pretty boy boxer. No, if Ray had the opportunity to finish you, he'd take you out. So would Tommy Hearns. So would Durant. All of the fighters back then, like Bob Foster, Michael Spinks, all had killer instinct. All of them, you know. And Jack, as well as he boxed, where was the killer instinct? Why not take him out? See, it's like when Lennox Lewis, I know I keep calling back.
Go on, take your time. Yeah, go on.
When Lennox Lewis fought Evander Holyfield, yeah, he had him in trouble. He had Evander on the ropes and he was hurt. And Lennox backed off. And then pre-fight in the press conference, right? Lennox was saying, yeah, I won the fight, man. I won the fight. They robbed me. And they did rob him. That was worse than the Catterall and Josh Taylor fight. They did rob him. Don King said, why didn't you finish him? You had him on the ropes. Why didn't you finish him? And Lennox was saying, well, I wasn't sure if he wasn't luring me into a trap because he's got that thick neck and like he could, but he needed to really finish him. He really needed to finish him. You know, you're in America. You're in America.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, I didn't want to jump in. Did you have any other more?
Killer instinct is important, man. In boxing, killer instinct is important.
But you know when you say sorry, are you finished or?
Yeah, you got it.
No, I enjoyed. It was very interesting listening to that. I'll still say the thing about killer instinct, but it's something that needs to be developed and nurtured. It's very difficult. And when you compare people to the Tyson and Lennox and Hagler, these guys were very special. Not everyone can reach those standards, as we know. You know, whether it's mentally or physical. It's in boxing. I say it's more mental. You know, it's difficult. Not everyone can reach those standards. I'd say. I mean, but what can I compare it to? You could even compare YouTube channels. You got me, you got you got Coogan. Each of us bring different strengths to the table. I don't mind sparring people. I sparred Kell Brook, and I'm every fighter I meet, I'm trying to get them to spar me. So that's one thing that I do. But does it make me better than you? Obviously, you've got the most knowledge of. You're more knowledgeable than Coogan, so that's that. But does that make you better than Coogan? And then you got Coogan, who's the amount of interviews he's done is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't got like Coogan's patience. I've got much respect for this guy. I haven't got his patience. He's willing to. Like, I'm not trying to sound tough, and obviously everyone's seen the Tommy Fury interview now, but I've heard stories in the past with Coogan where people like Chris Eubank Sr. have mugged him off to his face, and he's basically, depends how you want to look at it. I'll try and let it go, but at some point I'd react. For him, the sort of attitude he seems to have, and he can stand up for himself, but he's trying to look at where he's trying to provide a universal service for boxing. So he's doing his best. I mean, I've seen the amount of hours he puts in. So we've all got our different strengths and weaknesses. Do I have your knowledge? No. You know, it doesn't mean your channel's any better or worse than mine. So I'd say with boxers, not everyone's going to have the killer instinct. Not everyone is. I mean, some boxers, I think David Haye, or who's a good example? David Haye was ruthless. Boy, you see, John Ruiz. Mate, David Haye, you see David Haye punching people in the back. Like, that guy was ruthless. You know, and I'm saying that in a good way. I mean, you got the Jack Dempseys and Harry Grebs. But it's unrealistic to hold everyone to that standard. Because if I was going to have...
Can I just stop you a sec?
So please.
Right? I'm glad you brought up David Haye, right? David Haye does commentary for BT, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, I watched David Haye just the other week. And this young guy, he had a fight. And I think, did he get the stoppage or he might have let the guy off the hook? David Haye wasn't having it. And even though the guy won, David Haye wasn't having it. He said, yo, you let him off the hook there. You had a couple of free shots there. You should have took him out. You should have sparked him out. But that's the mentality David Haye had, and he had it from the amateurs, right? That's it. And like, I think the kid was kind of trying to, when he heard what David said, I think he was trying to like, no, I don't agree. What do you mean you don't agree? David Haye's been unified cruiserweight champion and heavyweight champion. What have you done to argue with him? This is championship boxing. This is world championship. This is where you separate the boys from the men, right? I'm glad you brought him up, David Haye, and he wasn't having it. because you need that. You need that. You need that. If David Haye didn't have that, yeah, I'm just gonna knock someone out. He wouldn't have got where he got. He wouldn't have got there. He wouldn't have got there. He was ruthless. He was ruthless. And if you're not ruthless, you can say, oh well, you can say, well, I won because I threw more jabs and this, that. But the whole point is, you know, like, you want to take as much accountability out of the judge's hands as you can and put it in your own hands. That's what you need to do. And it's always been like that. It's always been like that. Like he was mentioning Jack Dempsey, like when Jack Dempsey fought Jess Willard, man, like
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. He fought him how many times in the first round, and he thought he won, but the fight was still carrying. They had to bring him back. But he was like an animal. He was basically like an animal. You know what I mean? And this is world championship boxing. It's not amateur boxing. It's world championship boxing. You've got to look about finishing your man off. You know what I mean? And if not, it could go against you. Could go against you. There's some guys who could just put on virtuoso boxing performances, but even they get robbed. Like Pernod Whitaker, when he fought Ramirez the first time around in France, they robbed him. They robbed him. But to me, his performance, like, it was skillful, but I knew he could do more. And in the second fight, he was more professional about it. You know, he boxed a better fight. But this is going to always be a contentious debate. Like, should you have to do more? Probably not. But if you know the history of the sport, then you should do according. If you know what the history is, if you know what the mantras are, you've got to take it from the champ. If you know about, there's championship rounds and this, that, and then you're away from home, you've got to do. If you know all this beforehand, there's no excuses, really, is there? There's no excuses. It's kind of like if you come up to me, right, and I live in a bad neighborhood, right, and you're saying, well, Beats, I need to get over there and there and there. I said, yo, man, you better watch them dudes on the avenue there because they ain't messing about. They'll do this, that. Now, I've gave you the information. Now it's up to you as a grown man. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna walk through there? And if you do walk through there and then you're confronted, what are you gonna do? Once you're given the information about something, it's up to you to be, like assertive about taking charge of it. Maybe you could go around another other way and get there and avoid them. Maybe, I don't know. Life is full of, like, as grown-ups, we've got hard decisions to make in life. We've got hard decisions that we have to make, and there's no way around it.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, look, you make interesting points, but I just that's just something they need to change in boxing because, and I'll say it again, the whole thing with Killer Instinct, it's difficult to develop and nurture. And I'll give you a quick example. Let's see how you respond to this. So the guys you've mentioned Tyson, but then Tyson was mentally weak in certain departments. For someone with as much encyclopedic knowledge of the sport as him, when you hear the stories about sleeping with women and not training and so on, he let himself down in that department. And the whole temper tantrums he used to have, I don't want to go into allegations, but the stuff we've seen on camera, you shouldn't be losing control of yourself like that. What else? Then you got Hagler. Then Hagler was a great fighter, no question. Tell me if I'm being harsh or if this is a good point. You watched the Hagler-Leonard fight. I mean, look, I think Leonard won, but it was a close fight. But the way Hagler reacted to that, where he chose not to box again, I think that was a mistake. I think you should have just continued with your career. So, and who's the other one? Lennox. I mean, Lennox, yes, it's more difficult to criticize Lennox, but I mean, if you look at what happened between him and Hasim Rahman in the studio, I'm not taking sides. But yeah, you could argue Lennox should not have allowed himself to be provoked into a reaction outside. Because Hasim Rahman said something about his sister, so then Lennox got physical in the studio. So
he accused Lennox of being gay.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah.
If that was me, I'm not in my what's the word I'm looking for? I know someone's gonna say I'm making this video about me, but I'm just making points. You wouldn't be able to get into my head like that. If you said that about me, you wouldn't get me to. So I'm not criticizing that. I'm just making points. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. These guys are gonna try and say whatever they can to upset you. You know, don't let it get to you. You know, I know
it's easy for you to say that while you're sitting down in the comfort of whatever room you're in, but boxing is all about stress management. Like, you know, like this guy potentially could take your head off, and now he's asserting stuff about your manhood, about your looks, and this and that. Like when you're under that type of stress, it's different to like me and you talking now, how you're going to handle all that. Because if trash talking didn't work, the likes of Muhammad Ali or Floyd, they wouldn't do it but it works. It definitely works.
yes, yes.
Not on everybody, like you say, it doesn't work on everybody, but there's a place. There's a place for it in the sport, or they wouldn't do it. Well, what would be the point? You'd just be wasting your energy. But you know, when Frank Bruno was fighting Tim Witherspoon, Witherspoon was looking at him, and I can't remember what he said. He said, "Say something." He said, "This, that, and that," and he was trying to get something out of Frank, and he just kept pushing it. And then he said, "I saw one moment where his eyes kind of went off mine, and it was a sign of weakness." And that's boxing. That's how it is. Look at Tyson Fury. Smacks talk. Look how much smack talk he does.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I completely agree. I'm not saying you're wrong, but the only reason I'm bringing it up, I'm trying to compare it to what you're saying about killer instinct. It's easier said than done, but it's difficult to. I'll give you the quickest way I can explain it. You probably know what I'm talking about. You'll see a lot of fighters, whether it's fighting or sparring, if you keep it, say 30-40%, and especially someone like me, because I'm so calm-headed, sometimes I like to keep it, say 40%. If you keep it 40%, your opponent's going to keep it 40%. But if you want to try and go for killer instinct, then you know the opponent's gonna they're gonna come back at you. So I'd say this is the difficult part about killer instinct. Who's a good example? I think the quickest example is I don't know, maybe Klitschko versus AJ. I don't know. So when he dropped AJ, he's probably saying to himself, if I go in for the kill, which I agree he should have, if I go in for the kill, he might land one back. But if I'm cautious, hopefully I'll try and get him later on. So I think that's what Klitschko was thinking. And you know, I agree, Klitschko should have tried to finish him off. But this is what goes on in their heads. And me as a boxer or low level
Well,
one.
apparently it was his brother. It was his brother who said when he fought, his brother told him to box him. That's what they said. They said Vitali told him to back off.
So they're saying they're trying to wait for Joshua to tire out and get him later on, which look, they know more, they've forgotten more about boxing than I've ever learned. I can't challenge these brothers, but I think it was the wrong choice. I think they should have tried to finish Joshua off. But what they're saying, same with Catterall, the thing is, if you're going to try to finish someone off, they're going to fight you back. They've got nothing to lose. So who's a good example. It's like, I don't know, Pernell Whitaker. If Pernell Whitaker boxes you and does this and does that, also Mayweather is the best example. He minimizes the risk to himself. But if you're going to go after someone with a killer instinct, you're going to get caught back. So that's what holds these boxers back. Well, same with me. When I've sparred certain people, you know, I don't want to risk getting caught back. So I hope I'm not rambling on too much.
No. But
it's difficult. It's difficult to develop that killer instinct, and that's what sets people
it's
apart.
about like putting your man in his place, fighting 5-5. Like Terry Marsh, right? He was just basically an upright English style boxer, just a jabber.
Yeah.
Right? And never showed any real power, no real aggression. All the time I was watching him fight. And then when he fought for the world title in that tent in Basildon, right? Frank Warren card. Something happened to him. I don't know what happened to him. because I just couldn't work it out. He turned into an animal from the first bell. He just steamed into Manu like like it was a football, like he was a football hooligan. He just steamed into him and just pinned him on the ropes, and he wouldn't let him go. The guy tried to fight back, but he pinned him, and eventually he knocked the guy out. It's like basically sometimes you've got to actually like change your whole train of thought process. Like everything that you've been wired to do, you've got to rewire it. You know what I mean? And because that's the only way he would have got the belt. He realized if I, the old jab and run, it's just not going to work against this guy there. It's not going to work. So he just totally rewired, his old approach to boxing, and he got the victory. He got the victory. It was the weirdest thing because I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. It's do or die, man. When he gets to the championship fights, it's do or die. It's do or die.
Oh yeah, but you know what? So I hope I haven't jumped in. I'll tell you quickly. Now that you've told me the Terry Marsh story, I haven't seen that fight. Yeah, but actually, I'm actually gonna back down. I think yeah, maybe I'm wrong, because all I'll say as a boxer, but even you listen to the way these boxers talk, and but a lot of them don't seem to have the best understanding of boxing. Obviously, because you've been boxing for however long, training for however long, of course you're going to be more developed than the rest of us. You're going to be. I think I got quick hands, but when I got in there with Kell Brook, boy, couldn't even touch him apart from one lucky shot.
Yeah, Kell's very talented, isn't he? He's a very talented guy. Very talented.
Yeah. So no, so the point I'm making, physically, they're going to be more developed than people like you and me, of course, because they spend so much time training. But regarding the mental side of it, a lot of them don't seem to fully grasp it. So I actually think, I'm wrong. Because you listen to the way some of them talk about it, and yeah, you're right. With Catterall, I understand it's easier said than done. But yeah, I agree. I still think he won the fight. I still think he got robbed. But
I think he won as well.
I mean, especially if you drop someone, I think mentally as a fighter, and obviously, what advice are your team giving you? Because if you drop someone, your mentality in camp should be, because for me, it definitely would be. I remember the first time I dropped someone in sparring, it was with body shots. So I dropped him. And because it was sparring, I was about to hit him again as he was going down, but I chose not to. But if it was a fight and he got back up, now that I know I can hurt you, I'll try to finish you off. I 100%. I mean, I think the first time I saw Mike Tyson highlight reel was when I was 16. So mentally, I think I'm wrong. I agree with you now. As a fighter with Jack Catterall, when you've done what you've done in boxing, you've achieved what you've achieved, you're hardening your knuckles every day. I mean, if you drop someone, your mentality should be, I'm going to keep him down. So yeah, you know what, you're right.
I tell you what, man. I tell you what. As much Jack Catterall, he thinks everything's against him now, and I get where he's coming from. I'm not saying he's wrong to think that. He should be thinking that because it was a bad decision. But I bet you any money, every time he watches that fight, he looks at that 8th round and said, "Man, I should have jumped on him and tried to get him out of there." It's like remember Luke Campbell against Ryan Garcia when he floored Ryan, and
he should have got up.
Yeah, he should have finished him. He should have took him out. Even Ryan said, "I was buzzed." He should have took him out, but Luke backed off. Luke backed off and he let Ryan recover, and Ryan came back and knocked him out. These are the margins, man. These are the margins. These are the margins.
But I'll say. Sorry, yeah.
No. You go.
No, I'll say quickly. I'm going to actually make an interesting thing where you won't hear people in boxing say this. I'm actually going to say, I think I was wrong in some of the stuff I've said in this video. I was being a little bit too defensive of the boxers. When they get robbed, I feel sorry for them. But yeah, I think, look, you know what you're getting yourself into. If that was me in the fight, especially if you knock someone down, it should be drilled into you in camp. You should know. I mean, there was that film, Undisputed, the first one, where the heavyweight champion went to prison. He lost the fight in prison to the prison champion, But then when he got released from prison, famous film, Wesley Snipes, Undisputed.
I see it. And Vin Rames. Yeah, yeah.
So when the champion gets released from prison, he goes back to his normal life, become heavyweight champion again, and they completely cover up the story. Oh yeah, it's a prison rumor. He never got knocked out, but he did.
Yeah, he
So
did.
so what I'm saying about Cattle, yeah, I think I'm wrong. Um, the thing with these fighters, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Watch the history of the sport. Watch the Michael Conlan. Watch the Roy Jones amateur in the Olympics, and you got to know if you knock someone down. Like, because mate, you're the one doing this all day. You've had how many fights? You're lifting dumbbells and you're etc. etc. If you get someone down, for me, that's the trigger. It's like a dog on a leash. Because I've
Yeah.
seen dog, my uncle, that dog hated me. It cost me so much money. I kept buying him meat to get him to like me. But that dog was on a metal leash. And every time I go past, that dog hated me. And I knew, if that dog gets off that leash, he'll go for me. No, no. Also, it don't have to be like lions. Like they go
Yeah.
straight for the kill. If you knock someone down in a boxing ring, and I don't want to hear this when if you haven't boxed, they say you're not entitled to say these things, but it's just common sense. I might not have boxed at that level, but you're the one training for it for however long. If you have someone down, your mentality should be, I'm going to finish him off now, or at least do your best. At least
Yeah.
it's like when Pacquiao took out. I remember when he done Marquez in the first round, and Marquez somehow survived. But it wasn't
Yeah.
for lack of trying. Like, you, at the very least, batter him from pillar to post. Go watch Hagler Hearns 1. You should have that mentality. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I agree. I take it back. Obviously, he still got robbed, but you should have mentally, like, you've got the man down. This is what you've been training for all your life. And someone
See,
who
the thing is though, nothing's going to change though. Like in a few months, someone's going to come over to England, Scotland, and they're going to get robbed again. They're going to get robbed, and they're going to get robbed. It's the same thing. Someone's going to go over there, and they're going to get robbed. Yeah, I bet you over the weekend there might be a contentious decision on that card tomorrow. You know what I mean?
probably,
I bet you any
probably
money. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's part of boxing, man. It's a part of boxing. You know? That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Yeah, man. So what else you got going on for the week, man? What else you looking forward to? Any more fights?
I think that's the main card this weekend. I don't know if there's a show in America. We're still in March. I think April's looking bigger. Have you got any thoughts on women's boxing? You got Katie Taylor versus Serrano.
Yeah, that's a very good fight, man. It's a very good fight. And like I think a little while back, people would have been pulling for Katie, but a lot of people are saying Amanda Serrano right now. But will her power of punch transfer up to 135? Well, and I think Katie is a good scrapper as well. I think that's where Katie is going to get. She's going to out-scrap Amanda. She's going to out-scrap her. And I'm going for Katie. A lot of people are going for Amanda. I'm going for Katie. Although, I tell you what, man, some of Katie's performances to me, like, they're a bit scrappy, not very decisive. The work hasn't been clean, but she might need that in this fight coming up, like make it an untidy fight. Don't give her no room to do any give her punching angles or anything like that. I'm looking forward to it. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's a good fight. It's definitely a pick 'em. Did you know that Katie turned down? So apparently Amanda wanted to change it from 2-minute rounds, but Katie says she wants 2-minute rounds.
Who wanted to? Someone wanted 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, Amanda did.
And what happened to that request?
Well, yeah, Katie Taylor declined it. She just wants 2-minute rounds.
I wonder why she wanted 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, she's more her style. The shorter rounds will suit Katie Taylor more, whereas obviously if you're doing it over longer, it's more difficult to maintain the stamina over that time. So Amanda will be more likely to catch up to her later on. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a difficult fight for either both of them. They're both facing someone who is very different from who they've faced before. I suppose Katie Taylor's probably the likelier winner. But I could see either one of them win it. But if I had to pick one, you'd probably say Katie Taylor on points.
You think Katie Taylor on points, yeah?
I mean, she's going to be difficult to knock her out. I mean, look, she's got a very solid record. Obviously, I know people talk about Delphine Pearsoon. Yeah, I think Katie lost the first fight, but I mean, Pearsoon's not a small person, and sort of fights like that, it toughens you up. So it's going to be tough to knock her out. So, and I don't see a man. Well, I mean, it's two ways you win, either points or knockout. Is she going to outpoint Katie Taylor? That's going to be difficult. So I'd say Katie on points.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. That's a good fight, man. I like women's boxing. I like what was her name? Natasha Jonas's win when she stepped up a weight and won a world title. She looked really good. She looked good footwork, good combination punching. I like that Alicia Baumgartner. I want to see more though. I want to see defend her a few more times. I really want to see Clarissa Shields and
Savannah Marshall.
Yeah, I want to see that one. I want to see that. You know what I mean? Good stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah, with Tasha, as you said, she left no doubt. Like she showed no mercy in that.
Say that again.
As you said, with Tasha, she showed no mercy. She left no doubt in that fight.
Yeah, she showed no mercy. Because look, she's in her 30s now. The chances are not going to always be there. You know, like this is do or die. She's got a kid and stuff. She don't want to be trying to fight and win world titles like when she's approaching 40. Get it done now. Get it done now. So, you know, when you write your book, you can write about your world title win and stuff. And, you know, that's when you need to do it. And they're like, yeah, I was impressed. And like, I've never really rated Joe Gallagher, but if he was behind that performance, I've got to give him all the credit, man. She looked good. She looked good.
All I'll say, yeah, well, yeah, as obviously we've already pretty much covered it, but it's just a lot of these fighters, the mentality they seem to have, it's like they're not very, where you get fighters not living their life in between, they're coming into fights under trained or not in condition. Go look at Rocky Marciano. You never saw him turn up out of shape, and the effort they put in. If you remember that famous fight with Walcott Marciano, I mean, Walcott was just taking him apart. You know, he was schooling him, and all of a sudden, that Suzy Q right hand that shot Marciano landed the 13th round. I mean, that guy had killer instinct. I mean, how many people dropped him? I think who was it? Archie Moore knocked him down, you know, and for him to overcome what he did. But yeah, a lot of the fighters these days, it's like they're business people. They don't, you're coming in there, you're playing around, and yeah, not being displayed. I've already covered all that, I guess. You got have you got any thoughts
Rocky
on
was a dirty fighter. Rocky was dirty, but they said outside the ring he was kind of like the perfect gentleman, but in the ring he was an animal. He was an animal. You know? And he could be hit. He could be hit. Like if you see the second fight he had with Ezra Charles, if you see that cut that he's got on his nose, not a cut, his nose is nearly split in half, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Crazy, but he fought for it. Fought for it, and he managed to knock Ezra Charles out. You know? That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do, man.
Well, I mean, it's boxing. So I think a lot of people, the way the media talk about it, I mean, you're getting in there to fight someone. You're allowed to legally kill this person. So when people say fighters are dirty, yeah, some of them are. But if you're getting in that ring with that person, you need to do what it takes to win. And if Marciano's doing whatever he's doing, then do it back. You got to use and don't get me started. I think you mentioned Dempsey Willard. Don't get me started on that, because Dempsey used to stand behind him. So as soon as Willard's getting up, he's knocking him down as he's getting up.
Yeah. Like after he won that fight, because like back then, like Jack Dempsey wasn't applauded by everybody for how he performed against the likes of Willard, because they just thought it was too barbaric. So they changed the rules. And when he fought Tunney, that's when the neutral corner came in.
The long
The
count.
neutral corner. Yeah, the long count. You know, like when you floor someone, go to the neutral corner. That's where that was the controversial one, because he floored Tunney. And what happened again? Yeah, Dempsey took long to get to the corner. The referee's trying to get him to go. And by the time the referee picked up the count, Tunney was on the floor for 13 seconds, and he recovered and he got back up. And that's why it's called the battle of the long count, because Tunney actually floors Dempsey after, and the referee starts counting straight away. He didn't try to get Tunney into a neutral corner. So it was very controversial. And yeah, like you see, that was barbaric. Yeah, you stand behind him, punch him in the body on his blind side when he fought Willard. Yeah. Like I think didn't break one of Willard's ribs, or and bashed up his eye socket. It was brutal.
Oh, but yeah, I've seen the fight. Obviously the whole thing about Dempsey, I wouldn't say that's brutal. What I mean is, and I do the same thing. I'll hit you as you're getting up, but what I mean by that, that's not Dempsey's responsibility. If it's within the rules, I'll do the same. I do the same thing. If you're allowed to hit, that's just the reality of it. I mean, when I was younger, I was different. I wasn't serious about boxing, but if you're gonna get in that ring, I think if you remember, you used to interview Reece Shagori, and he used to talk about how he went, was it Jamaica, and he spoke about what it's like to box. I mean, imagine it. You go to someone's hometown, no one likes you. So imagine walking through the crowd, and from what he said, the things they're saying to you. And I remember when Bernard Hopkins stepped on the flag, and then they had to rush him out. You don't know what the crowd's going to do to him. But that's boxing. If you're going to go to another country and you're getting in there with their guy, and he's fighting in front of his friends and family. Like what did John Fury say to Tommy? He said, if he loses to Jake Paul, he's going to change his name. He's no longer a Fury. So all these things
Yeah.
about Dempsey, but this is the nature. Boxing is not for everyone, and I mean sometimes you find your level. If you're not good enough to, what Jack Dempsey did. Like this is what people need to know what boxing is. Yeah, I got in with Kell Brook here, but it wasn't that bad. But Jack Dempsey, once a reporter did the same thing. Was it Gallico? He got in the ring with Dempsey. Listen, Dempsey put this guy to sleep. Put him to sleep. Knocked him out. So this is the nature of boxing. Even if I don't care if you got an Olympic gold medal. I mean, like Luke Campbell, he lost, didn't he lose to, what's his name? Patrick Mendy or Yevent or whatever. Regardless of whatever you've done, if you're getting in the boxing ring, any given day, you could legally be killed. So I think a lot of fighters don't seem to grasp that. Or even O'Hara Davies. I remember when he used to spar people. I'm not just saying this. Like, forget me. Yeah, I've seen O'Hara spar people. He's merciless. I think it's been about years since I've seen him spar in person. But I've seen coaches have to. That's enough. He don't show mercy. I know people that don't want. I've seen people that are better than O'Hara, better skills, quicker, but they don't want to get in with him. Don't want to spar him. And yeah, I've done that before. Like, I wouldn't want to spar him. He hits hard. He doesn't show, and he doesn't show mercy. There's no sparring with this guy. He doesn't show. So yeah, just a lot of boxers need to get that. Once you get in that ring, like you need to become in mentality with Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar. It's like kill or be killed. I mean, if you're, I don't mean to go too far, but you could die in this sport, so.
Yeah, well, even Josh Taylor said after he beat O'Hara, he said, yeah, he's got very heavy hands. And like some people go in there and they don't take no mercy, man. They don't take any mercy, So it's like, and the pros are different to amateurs. Like certain things you get away with in the pros, you just wouldn't get away with in the amateurs. You know what I mean? And O'Hara take no. I saw him sparring Conor Ben when they were both young. It was vicious. It was vicious. It was a vicious spar. And you can see Conor he'd be the same if you went to spar Conor. He'd be trying to hurt you. You know what I mean? He like that's just who he is. He's like his dad. He's trying to hurt people. That's who they are. That's who they are. They're not there to play around. And what it is probably when they were young, maybe a more experienced pro took advantage of them. They said, right, no one's getting away with nothing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
All I'll say briefly, last point on this subject. If you look at the Klitschko's, even look at those guys and Usyk, where they've now picked up guns and they're willing to kill. But that's boxing. That's what you're getting yourself in for. And yeah, I mean, sparring's dangerous, but sparring generally is supposed to be 60-70%. But if you're talking about fighting, listen, as you said about Terry Marsh, when you get in that ring, you don't know what mentality your opponent's going to have. You don't know what they're going to try and do to you. So that's your responsibility. You should know that as a person. And like I said, they're the ones, boxers, I mean, they're the ones that are living this year in, day out. So they should know that better than any of us. If you're going to get in that ring, then also defend yourself at all times. And if you can't, well, don't get in there. No one's forcing you to. Go get a job, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted, man. Not for the faint-hearted. You know, so that's what it is. I think look, if Jack Carroll is really good, well, we'll see, because he'll have to overcome this and come back again, like all the great fighters who've got decisions that went against them. They came back again, haven't they? Came back.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if he can do that. You know, if not, people will say, "Oh, well, he had that night there, but what happened after that? He didn't do anything." So you can only cry about it for so long. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. See what we can do. All right, you got any last topics to go before I get out?
Oh yeah, sure. To finish off, what is it you enjoy most about boxing? Well, what have been some of your enjoyable moments over the years?
My enjoyable moments. Let me see.
Best fights. It's up to you. Yeah, however you want to answer the question.
Some good moments. Good moments. You know what I like is the anticipation before certain fights. Like when I was like before Tyson and Holyfield, I was like, oh man, this is actually happening. Like the excitement beforehand, or like who's the other one? McClellan and Julian Jackson, fights like that. Like you're just like, oh man, it's actually, and like you're getting butterflies yourself, like you're going in the ring. You know that I like them kind of occasions, man. Ben versus McClellan, fights like that. Yeah, man. Or like some of the best, I think when Tyson was coming up, man, watching his fights, when he fought Burbeck, when he won the undisputed championships, and the impact he had on the sport, that was really great, man. I used to love watching Hagler fight, like because like he inspired me to you know, like go in the gym and try and work out and spar and stuff. I used to love Hagler. Tommy Hearns, his right cross, like, because I remember, like, before Tommy Hearns, I watched Sugar Ray Leonard fight. I said, oh man, he's really fast. And then the first time I saw Tommy Hearns, I said, man, he's even faster than Ray. But you know what I mean? It's just the single right cross is just like faster than anything I'd seen in boxing. You know, I like the early days, man. You know, like when I got into boxing, when you're really enthusiastic, like watching Hector Camacho when he was a junior lightweight, he was flipping outstanding, really good. You know, Don Curry, you know, all them guys, man, all the greats, man, all the greats. some more modern. I think the Ben and McClellan, that was thing. One of the more like, I don't know if I call it a great moment, but the Eubank and Watson fight was scary. It was absolutely like that. That was a scary night, man. Like when you heard what happened to Michael, man, that was just like, and I was watching it live, and just to think, at the time I was just up the road from where the fight happened at White Hart Lane. I was just down the road from the event. It was just crazy, man. Crazy, you know. And you think to yourself, like, Michael Watson was just a handsome dude, man. He like girls really liked him, and then this one fight just disfigured all his features. His arms like were all like, you know, contorted out of position. You had to learn how to walk and talk, and that was traumatic for me, man. Watching him go through that at the time, I was like, oh, man, it just kind of, it didn't put me off boxing, but it was kind of like, wow. You know, you don't think about them things really until, I mean, like, you're watching this guy, because I watched him fight from when he was fighting guys like Dangerous Don Lee. I followed his career on BBC One, man. And then to see that happen to someone, yeah, that was a bit thing, man. It's a bit crazy. And what it was, he was winning the fight so easy. He was beating the crap out of Eubank. He was winning so easy, and then the fight just turned around. That's how you know it's a really cool sport, that the fight can just turn around like that. You know what I mean? Like that can't happen. Like, because okay, if you was to get the equivalent of what Michael was doing, it's like winning 4-0 with 2 minutes to go. There's no way you're gonna lose in football.
No.
There's no way you're gonna, but in boxing you can. You could be up 5, 10, 20-0, and you can still lose the fight. The only sport that can happen, man. Well, not the only, but you know, like combat sports. You know, like crazy. What are the great moments? What are the great moments? Oh man, there's so many though. I think watching Roy Jones, man. Roy Jones prime, the skills, like wow, man. Like wow. Yeah.
Which fights? Which fight? David Telesco, Richard Hall?
The guy with the braids, David Telesco, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Virgil Hill, the body shot, absolutely brilliant. There's just so many. Tony Hopkins, he just like on and on and on. Just a brilliant fighter. Brilliant fighter. Yeah, man. Yeah.
On a finishing note, if it's okay, with Roy Jones, how many of the all-time greats do you think he would have beaten? So I think most of them, they got better records than him. But, you know, if you look at the, say, middleweights, Ray Robinson, Harry Greb, who's the other guy? Carlos Monzon. Some of these guys, though, do you think Roy would have just been too quick? Say someone like Monzon, he's not the most athletic. Do you think these guys would have beaten him, or how do you see those fights?
I tell you what, man, I'm glad that Roy wasn't in Marvin, because I'm a fan of Marvin. I'm glad that Roy wasn't about. I'm glad he went about that 160. I'm glad. Because Roy could have beat a whole lot of them, to be honest. He could have beat them. But like on his day, like he could have beat any of the greats, as far as I'm concerned. At 160, 175, he could have beat anyone. There's no one he couldn't beat. No one. You know. Just a generational talent, man. A one-off. Just a one-off. Like I remember the Glenn Kelly fight. I didn't see it live, but I remember when I got a hold of that tape, and when he put his hand behind his back and floored the guy, I think I probably wore out the VHS. I was like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? And what it is, you know what I mean? It's like what I've been analyzing Eubank. What Roy did, he hid his punches. Is that like, if you can hide your punches, it's like being a ghost almost. Like if I got it, like let's say I weighed 30 stone and you weighed 5 stone. If I don't see the punch coming, it don't matter what you weigh. Right? If I don't see the punch coming, you have a chance of knocking anyone out. If you don't see the punch coming, you have a chance of knocking. And that's where he got his knockouts, man. People didn't see his punches. He hit his shots. And all of a sudden you see all like durable people like who's the guy who gave Eubank and Ben problems, a South African guy. Really good boxer. Really good. Really good boxer.
Sugar Boy Malinga?
Is it Malinga? I think it could be, what was it? I can't remember his name, man. But he was durable. He was really durable. Roy flatlined him, man. Just flatlined him. The guy didn't see the punches coming. So it's like you didn't have no chance. You didn't have no chance at all. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what he's that like if Eubank can improve on what he's doing, he's going to be very dangerous. Going to be very dangerous. Going to be very dangerous. Very dangerous. He's been training with Roy a long time. And if you watch him against Liam Williams, he hit a lot of his shots. Like Williams was just steaming in, like, oh, I'm just going to rough him up. And next thing he was on the floor. Just one shot, one jab. He'd throw a jab and then he'd quickly just twist his arm and turn it into a hook at the last minute. And my guy was on the floor. He was on the floor. They're special skills, man. That's the craft, though. That's the science. That's the science of boxing, man. That's that's the science. That's why it's such a great sport, because if you really get technical with it and you're really focusing and you're working on there's great stuff you can do in there, man. There's great stuff. There's great, even if you're boxing and say you're a kid and you go to certain trainers and you just listen to people talking about them or them talking, you can learn so much because just knowledge yourself up and become a way more effective fighter. But you got to listen. You got to put in the time to listen. And train hard.
All I'll say quickly, I think we've already discussed. I won't keep you too long. We've already discussed boxers not having the right mentality regarding killer instinct. But then I think a lot of the trainers as well, like, what are you teaching them? Like, with Roy Jones, from what we've seen, a lot of these things, it's like you've got to be taught how to do it. And with someone like Liam Williams, who I respect, well, a couple of years ago, he sparred me on camera, so I like him. But you shouldn't be going in there with, I'm going to rough my opponent up, because it's obviously, it's not a good strategy. He boxed emotional, so you've got to go in there. You've got to master the skills of boxing. You've got to look at the history of it. And, Eubank just, pretty much, well, he was toying with him, but then he sort of let Liam Williams back into the fight, though.
Well, he let his emotions control his fight, and he paid for it. You let him you've got to detach your emotions away, or you're going to run into trouble against a master craftsman. If you cannot keep control of your emotions against a master craftsman who's on his game, you're going to get hurt. It's big trouble.
Yeah.
You've got to keep control of your emotions, man. And Liam Williams wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. Wasn't able to do that.
Obviously, great guy. I wish him well, but you shouldn't. It's not up to us. We shouldn't be saying this about him. He should. It's just a fight at the end of the day. You're a professional, world-class athlete. You're a full-time athlete, and you should understand it's a sporting performance. You shouldn't be talking the way he did. Behaving the way he did, and we saw what happened. I think Eubank Senior used to say it the best. I think he came across as patronizing, but he used to just say, "I'm just trying to raise my standard of living by you're just a stepping stone." Obviously, Nigel Benn hated him, but at the end of the day, it's just a stepping stone. And that's how I look at fighters. So people that I fight, I've got nothing against you. I don't wish you or your family any ill will, but if you get in that ring with me, I'm gonna try to beat you in order to benefit from it. But why do I had 4 fights last year, with the exception of one of them. The other guys I got on great with them. I really like them. But only one of he was a very awkward person. So I'm saying you don't make it personal. And if someone does get personal, just rise above it. But hopefully Liam's learnt his lesson now.
I don't think he has, you know.
Probably
I
not.
don't think he has. Like, you know, I tell you what, yeah. I was on Twitter, and I made a joke about certain fighters that I think I could have, and I wrote on the post, I am joking. Before anyone goes, I said, this is all a joke, right? I'm just a civilian, middle-aged man, and somebody put Liam Williams. Yeah, I could take Liam Williams, and he found the post.
Wow.
And he started asking the guy, and he started asking the guy for his address. I'm gonna come see you now. I'm gonna drive up and come see you. Yeah, he was going mad. He was going mad like a mad person.
Yeah, but you see him. I follow him on Twitter, and yeah, you see him firing back at people and so on. And I'll keep it short. Yeah, it's just look. If you did it to me, I mean, I get all kinds of comments on my videos. I'm sure you do. I don't really care because I don't know any of you lot. You're just people on the internet. You could be, I don't know who you are. You could be 12 years old, or someone. Oh, I'm 6'6". Like he actually said this. I'm 6'5". Michael, if I see you, I'd crush you like a work. All right, whatever. So yeah, you might be 6'5", or you might be a 10-year-old trying to talk tough, but unless you actually come into real life, unless it becomes relevant, I don't really care. Well, true story. I was in Africa about 4 years ago. I was walking around in the neighborhood. A fully grown horse, literally got loose. So this horse started coming in my direction. I've never ran so fast. I'm not talking about a small horse. I've never run so fast in all my life. So I'm not. So what I'm saying about Liam Williams, unless these people are relevant, you shouldn't be, mate. You're a professional boxer. How many videos have you ever seen of people actually going up to boxers and doing it face to face? So just who cares? Same with the people that comment on my
It's
video.
happened, man. It's happened though. Like that
Rarely.
guy challenged Mamul Cha, and Mamul Cha agreed to meet him. The guy shot him in it outside the kebab shop in Germany.
But I'd say I know what you're talking about, but to have the audacity to shoot someone, obviously that guy he's actually more gangster than most people. I mean, how many people have the guts to do it? So
there's a few nutters out there, man. I'm telling you, I wouldn't chance my arm. I know there's a lot of nutters out there. I know there's a lot of nutters. You know what I mean?
But all I'm saying though, but you shouldn't. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes I've replied back to people in my comments, but I've lost interest now. I'm bored of messaging. Like, I'm bored of talking to people online that I've never met. So what I'm saying about Liam, just these people, they're not relevant. I won't give them the time of day. Who cares?
Liam's got a bad temper though, isn't it? You can see Liam's got a bad temper.
Hopefully, as I get to know him, I mean, obviously, I don't mean to be arrogant because Adam Booth's a very intelligent guy. So is Dominic Ingle. So I'm sure these guys are giving him advice. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe I can get to know Liam. Maybe I can try and get into his head and try and advise him. But I'll give you a quick example. I sparred him. What was it? January 2020. We did one round on camera, which I've got on my channel. Since then, I haven't been able to get anywhere near him for a sparring session, which of course I understand, but that's what I'm trying to say. There's a certain level of person that you should spar, and when it comes to talking online, there should be a certain criteria for responding. To me, I'm only going to respond if I know who you are. I can't be bothered. Like, if someone insults or threatens me online, whatever. That's just my opinion. I don't know who you are though. You could be on drugs. You could be some.
You don't know who you see. The thing is, you really don't. With social media and the internet, you don't know who you're talking to.
So I'm not saying I'm.
It's not a matter of you being scared but it's just too much of a lottery of who you might be you know, like confronting. It's just too much of a lottery, man. You don't know. You don't like. But you know, this is one game where you've got to let your ego just say, you know, I'm not gonna bother because they might come with four guys or five guys for you. You know what I mean? You say, yeah, I'll come meet up to fight. They got five guys or whatever, knives or whatever. You don't know. You just don't know. You don't know what you're running into. You don't know what you're running into. So to me,
Okay,
I mean,
so what I'm saying quickly, when I say I'm not scared, oh, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not. I can be overpowered. I mean, you know, you might bring a pit bull, as you said, you might bring multiple people. I don't mean it in that sense. I meant it in the sense that I don't care about talking to people online I don't met. So I'm not gonna. I mean, you know how many times I've met homeless people? Yeah, I don't look down on them. There's homeless people that I've met. You try and offer them, yeah, I'll buy you some food, and I'm not saying this to show off. I've had these people, I've had them turn me down. No, no, I don't want any food. Have you got any money on you? I'm like, no, I'll buy you food, but I'm not going to give you money. And I've actually had people say, no, you know, leave it, leave it. So what I'm trying to say, I think it's a good example. I don't know sometimes you don't know what's going on in people's heads. So, you know what, whatever. If you want to insult me online, go for it. But you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on in your head. So I don't reply anymore. It gets boring after a while. And I just think these boxers should, you know what I mean? Just don't reply to people you don't know. You know what I mean? Just, you know?
yeah, yeah. But you see, like if you've got that mentality, then it's easier said than done, isn't it?
You
You've
got to
got,
work on it. I'll say briefly, it's like what happened with me and Tommy Fury and who's the other one? Kell Brook. It's like these guys are letting me get in their heads. And that was not my intention at all. So, you know, but you don't even have to be a boxer. People in life, sometimes people haven't got the strongest minds. And you know, you can't let other people get into your heads. Because Kell Brook, he got upset. All I said was, I didn't know who was going to win, you or Khan. That's all I said. So, you know, just you're going to become a target. You know that if you're famous, people are going to message you. For me, my comments are going up, my tweets, everything's going up. So, you know, people know me now, which is okay, but you've just got to accept what comes with it. And you've got to adapt yourself as a person and say, you know, just change. You know what I mean? For me, I'm not interested in people I don't know, don't care, you know.
well,
Well, I
that's
mean,
the
think
end of
about
your
it.
Fury interviews anyway. You won't be able to be in Fury no more. So
That's all right. It doesn't bother me. I wish him well. If that's his mindset, then I mean, well, I retired from interviews. I think what was it 5, 6 years. I just stopped doing videos. So
like
good luck.
I had Isaac Lowe trolling my channel
Oh, did
because
he?
it wasn't even because of him because he didn't like some certain things I said about Tyson Fury. And like he'd be trolling my channel. I said, Isaac, what's the matter? Like, flipping hell, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking about you.
Yeah, but they just look.
You know?
They're childish, and the way. Look, I don't want to. The thing is, yeah, from what I've seen, they're surrounded by people that are desperate for their time, and you inflate these egos. But look, the whole thing about I'm banned from the Fury gym. All right, I actually sparred Tyson Fury, so there was the one from years ago. I sparred Tyson again about 2 years ago. I went to the gym, I sparred him. He wasn't comfortable being filmed. He had a fight coming up. So he sparred me, but he said, I'm not going to let you film it. I thought, okay, cool. He said, come back after the fight. I'll let you spar me on camera. Then what happened? The government announced another lockdown. The next thing you know, his wife had another kid. The next thing you know, the Wilder fight got announced. So I thought, there's no point going there. He's not going to give me the time. He's not going to spar me, especially not on camera. I waited. I went to his gym again about four months ago, November 2021. I went there and I don't know what's happened, but you know, they're being awkward and he doesn't, something's happened. He just didn't want to give me the time of day. No interviews, no nothing, no. And what he said to me, oh, you're going to have to sort it out with Top Rank and talk to their press agent and this and that. Yeah, but I told him, I stood up for myself. I said, well, they don't know who I am. And it's a small channel. Come on, you know, they're not going to give me the time of day. But he said, that's the way it is. I thought, fine, cool. So the reason I'm bringing this up, the thing is that if you ban me from the gym, I'm not really losing anything anyway, because there's nothing for me there. So this Isaac Lowe and whatever, no problem. You know what I mean, mate? I wish him luck in it. If that's your attitude, then that's up to you. But I don't think I did anything wrong with Tommy, and that's just life, innit? Maybe I was wrong, maybe he
Just
was
life,
wrong. But
man. It's one of the things. We'll
I
get
wish him
over
well.
it.
I wish him well.
We'll get over it.
Mate, I just, look, I should have kept it going all those years ago, and I'd probably be where Tommy Fury is now. So it's okay. I can work, I can get up there, and but it's just life, and it's not that big a deal. Like if you ask a woman out, some might say yes, some might say no. It's not. You go gambling. Look, I've lost bets before. I'm not going to burn down the shop, but you learn from your mistakes. You know what I mean? Look, I used to eat fast food when I was younger. I don't do it anymore. So it's not that big a deal. If that's their attitude, like Isaac Lowe trolling you, it's just that's a sad look. As a grown man, you're messaging another guy. If I was in his position, I wouldn't care what you got to say. Like if you came up to me and asked me for an interview or tried to engage me in conversation, all right, I'll engage you. But I'm not going to go looking for you online. Right? Life doesn't really work like that. If I was in his position, you need to be thinking about your next title defense. You need to think about being world champion. You're in a position where he's probably met how many celebrities? I mean, I've met Mike Tyson. I've met celebrities outside of boxing, but I'm sure Isaac's met more than me. So, why are you even worried about me? Go get yourself on the next Tyson Fury undercard. Set yourself up for life. Why are you worried about people on the internet for?
Well, they feel very protective over Tyson. That's what it is. So.
Man, but I know. I don't hope I'm not. It's just bizarre. Just people are gonna talk. Go look, because a lot of these people, again, they don't really study things. If you look throughout the history of this planet, you're always going to get criticized no matter what you do, whether you're Picasso or Julius Caesar or whatever, no matter who you are. So, and some things you say about Fury, Tyson Fury, I mean, someone like you or me will make legitimate points. So if someone's making a legitimate point, then you should debate them. I spoke to Lou DeBella today for over 50 minutes. Like if you disagree with someone, you should engage them. So someone like Tyson Fury, what's the quickest thing I can say about him? Well, he never rematched Klitschko. That's an example. He never turned up for the Vladimir Klitschko press conference, but you're getting upset when Dylan White didn't turn up for yours. Don't be a hypocrite, so that's not me having a personal attack. That's just telling the truth. Now, if I was to say, yeah, I used to battle O'Hara Davies in sparring and I used to do this and that. Now that's a lie. And anybody with any common sense could say, well, all right, so what did you do in the amateurs, Michael? Simple. So you've been exposed. Your lies have been exposed. That's not someone having a personal go. But if I was to say I've knocked O'Hara Davies out in sparring, all right, who witnessed it? I mean, where's the evidence? So that's what we're saying. I'm not having a go at Fury, or if you're making legitimate, like Isaac Lowe got stopped in his last fight, so I'm not having a go. If I'm just giving you my opinion and just saying, all right, you need to work on things and come back, and don't attack me, because the generation these days, and I know I'm young, but with me, I can take criticism. But a lot of them, oh, he's hating. It's not. Like Devin Haney said this thing about, was it Lopez? They're trying to make a fight between him and Lopez. And he actually says to him, oh, I've got more Instagram followers than you. It's like, mate, what's that got to do with getting in the ring? I mean, we could talk all evening, but yeah, it's just childish having a go at some YouTuber for his opinion. Yeah, but not everyone's going to agree. Where do you draw the line? Some people eat meat, some people don't. I mean, am I going to argue with every person on the planet? I think The Godfather is a great film. Some people might disagree. I'm not going to come after you. It's up to you, isn't it? I think The Godfather 1 is better than 2. Just my opinion.
Yep, it's just an opinion, man. Just an opinion. But y'all got to get out of here, man. Be good talking, man.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's been a pleasure. I'll probably spend the evening talking to myself. I like talking.
All right, bro.
Take care. Thank you.
Cool.